Hello and welcome to AEC Unplugged. I'm your host, Danielle Gray, and I'm so excited to have you here. I currently serve as a Director of Content and Knowledge Resources at SMPS HQ, and this is AEC Unplugged. So if you have never heard of AEC Unplugged or seen an episode, we've been doing this a couple of times now. We are in season 3, episode 7. And what we're all about is yes, we talk about trends, we talk about thought leadership, we talk about all those awesome things, but we also make sure to include the human element of it. So this is conversational, and overall, we just want to get to know our thought leaders that are behind these awesome programs. So that's what we're about. And, we're in this world of AI, but we are also about HI, which is human intelligence, and that will never go away. So that is important to us. So if you are joining in, please comment and let us know where you're joining from. It's really important for all of us to connect, and that's what this whole social media thing is supposed to do, right? Is to connect us all. So excited to have you here. If you want to go back on some episodes, we have all of these available on YouTube. So we have a playlist, AEC Unplugged. We've talked about wellness, AI, presentation skills, and we're talking about proposals today. So I'm really excited to have you here. With that being said, because I am focused on upcoming programming, I want to share a few things with you that we have going on. So, if you have not heard about the Building Resilience report, that's AEC's Path Beyond 2025, please do download it, especially for those that are members. Next up, we have already had this proposal, but we've already proposal, of course. We've already had this webinar, but we want you to make sure to watch it. And these are actually our guests today. So I won't go too deep into it because I don't want to blow the conversation a bit. But this is available. Proposal differentiation, standing out in the sea of same, is available for on-demand webinar right now. Also, upcoming, we have a blueprint for impactful events, turning every gathering into a growth engine. So I think, we are very clear that we need to be both online and in person, like, again, that human intelligence element. So we're excited to have these awesome 3 members that are going to be joining and leading this discussion June 26th. And then following that, we have Beyond Charts and Graphs, Inspire Action with Data Visualizations. And Tully is actually, she was a part of our CPSM learning program, talked about how they won some different MCA awards. So if you're familiar with MCA, those are our Marketing Communication Awards. And she was one of the winners. So I would listen in because clearly she knows what she's talking about, a storyteller at Page. And then we have our human experience town halls. Where we have a Pride Talk for AEC marketers, and that will be on June 25th. And if you haven't heard, well, I know we're in Q2 and the year is moving through, but we have these AI quarterly insights. So every member, it is available to and free to. It's a 76-page report. And I know you're thinking, I'm not reading 76 pages. Fair. But we do have an audio available. So it's really cool. We use AI. Of course, if you have AI report, you got to use it. You can listen. It's a podcast about the report. So you can do that as you're working on some things, answering emails. You can listen to that as well. We have highlights and FAQs. So highly encourage you to go ahead and download that. And also that's available to you by the SMPS Foundation. And then we have the Amplify AEC, which is our biggest conference, the national, or I should say, coast to coast. We have to include everyone there, but Amplify AEC is going to be in Columbus, Ohio. We're counting down. I think it's 70 something days left. Okay. So make sure to register, and there will be a hike in price on June 1st. So it is May 28th if you're watching right now. So go ahead and register before that price hike. And then we have save the date for AEC.ai. This is our AI conference specifically for AEC professionals. We are like hands-on. Everyone's on computers, pulling out their Gemini, their Chat GPT, all their programs, and literally working together to talk through these things, see how we can use them within AEC, but also hands-on learning how to write prompts and so on. So highly encourage you to join us October 9th and 10th, and that's going to be in Denver. It's always a good time to go to Denver. So AEC.ai, please be on the lookout for that. Is that it? Oh, that's it. That's all. That's all. That's all. But thank you so much, Devin. By the way, that's our awesome producer. She gets me together and also takes care of our death. Look, hello from Devin. There she is. All right, so here we go. We're going into our episode. I am excited to talk to these incredible women about standing out in the sea of same. That title just resonates so much for me, so I'm excited for you all to hear about it. So let me introduce our two guests today. We have Dawn and Christine. And Dawn, you are brand strategist and the owner of Ingenuity Marketing Group, and Christine, lead communications consultant at Ingenuity as well. So thank you all for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks, Devin.
Yeah.
Or Danielle. Well, there you go. Right off the bat.
Listen, we have Dawn, Devin, Danielle, Christine. You're the special one here. Okay.
Oh, thanks, Danielle. I'm honored to be here too.
Thank you. So I always love having these conversations and starting them off with just a human feel, which is I have these discussions and they're like, oh yeah, how did you get an AEC? It's always a very interesting story. So Don, I want to start with you. How did you make your way into the AEC industry? Did you dream about it as a 6-year-old young girl?
Oh, that's funny that you asked me that, because I was just updating my LinkedIn bio and my other communications consultant was asking me about how I actually got into marketing. But we actually at Ingenuity, we had worked in other professional service firms, and it just seemed like a natural progression to go into AEC. And I think our first project was actually a branding project for a large engineering firm in 2008, so many years ago. Mm-hmm. And I think it just kind of expanded into other opportunities. We were members of ACEC Minnesota and very involved. And we just kind of continue to build the niche from there.
That's awesome. I definitely, I had actually it was an internship that I didn't know anything about AEC at all, and said, oh, it's a paid internship. And I was like, oh, okay. That's how literally I jumped into AEC. So it's always interesting to see how I like your story here. So I want to talk to both of you about this too. This next question. Each of you comes to this topic with different experiences. So what aha moments first convinced you that differentiation was missing puzzle piece in this whole proposals that we're talking about? Christine, what aha moments kind of convinced you to the differentiation was a thing?
Sure. This is a great question. I come from a journalism background and then moved into freelancing and joined Ingenuity around 2005 and was working with clients on business development really from the get-go. And I found that the more proposals I saw, they were using a lot of the same words to describe their approach, to describe their services, whether it was words like quality or on-time delivery or, project outcomes, whatever it might be. And I just felt like there was a better way to talk about the experience that clients would have with that firm. And so it really, really blossomed from there to get into a lot of branding research, a lot of data collection from past clients, current clients, from project managers, and use that information to build a better proposal.
I love that. Don, what aha moment did you have?
Years ago, I actually worked at 2 CPA firms, and one of them, I ended up coaching a lot of leaders about marketing and business development. And when we spoke about opportunities, I felt like the leaders always thought about how to do the work, and I was thinking about how to win the work. And so I just really felt like, okay, there's the puzzle piece missing here. We need to figure this out.
I love that. That's really great. Because I think I talk about that in content. Like I always say every piece of content should answer three questions, which is what, so what, now what. And I find that in our space, we focus so much on what we're doing and forget why we're doing it and connecting those pieces for the client as well. So that's a serious aha moment you had. So how would you define true differentiation for an AEC proposal today, Dawn? How would you define that?
I believe that you should think about your competition, know your competition, and know how you're different from them. But then move it one step further, and that's then how you're going to be different in how you approach doing the work.
I like that. Christine, how do you define true differentiation?
Well, at the end of the day, it's really the people you're going to be working with. So it's not only how you write the bios and talk about each person's experience on the chosen team, but it's also looking at why you're in business in the first place, and how that ties into your branding messages. And as Don said, technical people, and I'm a technical person, I'm a writer, so I focus on the technical aspects as well. But it's about, what are you delivering to this project better than anyone else? And then, as you mentioned, the three things, we look at approach as what you're going to do, why it's important to the client, and then what are the benefits long term. So it's a nice little 3-word thought process to focus on that differentiation.
Yeah, I like that. So question for you, Christine. I know that there's so many different ways. I mean, the title is standing out in the sea of same, which a sea is true. It is a sea of all these proposals. For teams without an in-house designer, I came from a firm that was very small. We did not have an in-house graphic designer I could just share these things with. What simple layout tweaks do you think deliver the biggest differentiation, bang for the buck, so to say?
Well, I'm really surprised these days when I talk with the younger marketers and growth professionals in AEC, because they are finding a lot of tools to design really cool layouts, charts, visual interpretations of data than ever before, even as simple as Canva, and building templates into it. So there are ways to do it when you're not a seasoned designer. It's always great to have a seasoned designer look at your information and critique it and, offer ways to maximize it, which is why it's great to be a member of SMPS. But I would say if you're just starting out, and I'm not a designer by any means, I pay a lot of attention to simple things like, can I bold something that I want to stand out? Bullet points, just briefly, explain benefits in bullet point form. Headlines, putting things in color, because you have to understand that the people reviewing these proposals are often scanning through. They're going to look at the fee. They're going to flip through and look at the fee, but then they're going to backtrack, look at the cover letter. So we always pay attention to cover letters. We pay attention to bios and how those are laid out in a nice, consistent way. And you can create templates for those. So those would be my pieces of advice.
That reminds me of a time that I was just getting into content, and the white paper said how to write in white paper. So I was like, oh, this seems like this is what I need to learn how to do. And I scroll, I'm kind of going through, and I'm like, okay, I get to the bottom. I'm like, oh, this seems like this would be good. I go back to the front and said, you've already gone through the whole thing, haven't you? And I said, or and I think that idea of scrolling and talking about creating content for the scanning eye, because no one is going to start right here right at the beginning and just go straight through without looking and to your point, not looking at the numbers. They're going to look at the numbers first and then try to figure out the story to connect that to the numbers. So I love that, and Canva has been such a big thing. But I do think what you're saying is it's ideal to have someone to kind of look at what you're doing as well. So I love that. Any other thoughts, Dawn, about how you would kind of lay out, or anything that you've seen customers do or clients do?
I'm not a designer either.
That's
We
fair.
rely on Robert in our office to do all of that.
Nice.
However, one of the things that Robert and I do every year, and then we bring Christine in the fold, is we look at what's happening with proposal trends. And one of the softwares, that I think does a really great job with this, and we use lots of different softwares for our clients, or what we use, that kind of thing, is Proposify. And they do a really great job of identifying what's happening with trends. And then Robert and I kind of talk through all of that and what we want to change on our own proposals, but then let alone like, okay, here's what we need to look at for our clients if we're working on that. And so we bring Christine in the fold, and then we talk through all of that and what's possible to make these things work.
I think that's so important that you do that every year, because we do. It's like
Yeah.
things change, trends change, looks change, and you don't want to look like outdated. You don't want your proposal to look outdated, because that also does not, and saying that you're innovative and then your proposal looks a certain way. So I've seen that happen. So, so next question is, you two recently led a webinar that we talked about at the beginning here, proposal differentiation, standing out in the sea of same. What inspired you to even focus on this topic? Don, what was what kind of was like, we really need to focus in on this?
I think it's really the conversations that we were having with our clients. So many of them focus solely on proposals, or they have proposals as one facet of their job description, but it takes so much time. And so they aren't able to be strategic or focus on other marketing initiatives to make the firm grow. And we know that obviously proposals and winning business is a huge part of making firms grow. So it was just really those conversations about, what was happening.
No, that's great. And so what do you hope, Christine, I'll start with you, and Don, I'd love to hear your thoughts too. What do you hope the AEC professionals that watch this on-demand webinar, now that you guys have already done it, it's there, it's happened, what do you hope people get from it and learn from it?
Well, we thought about the essential elements that we could share within a half an hour. There's so much that you could talk about.
Right.
So we broke it down into messaging, data collection prior to working on proposals, and then the visual elements. And then finish it off with a little bit on AI, because we know that's becoming such a huge part of all communication now, and even using AI to make the process easier. Take a look at compliance once you've built a proposal. But I really hope personally that our marketers take away the idea that even if they are super busy, if they spend even 1 hour, 2 hours a week on collecting data from their subject matter experts, taking photos, building an asset library, whether they have software they're using or not, and really honing in on, templates that they need, it's going to make their job so much easier down the road. And they're also going to create processes that are trainable for additional growth professionals in the firm.
Oh, I think that's so important. And Don, do you think, is this webinar just for marketers that are doing proposals, or who would be, within the firm, who would be a good person to watch this webinar?
I think anyone really, because it also, I think, helps you approach your presentation, the initial discovery, or any meetings that you have about it, work that needs to be done strategically, just finding out more about your competition. And so there's lots of different elements about that, like that you can get from that webinar, as well as, I don't want, even managers, like how to set up these processes, or what software should we invest in, or do we need to invest in software? I mean, you can do amazing proposals in Word, believe it or not.
Yeah.
We've seen them. Yes, it's not our graphic designer's favorite thing to use, but it can be done. That there are ways to, if you don't have a budget, there's ways around it.
That's always good to hear because I know working, I mean, I worked within a smaller or a mid-level firm, but there's, the firms that have tons of marketing budget, and those are like, look, I'm party of one and figuring it out. And so it's good to know that, hey, if you are watching this and you're like, I don't know if I have time for this, make time, because you could be making time on the other end. So I think it's really important that you join us. So with that being said, I'm coming down to my last question, which is one of my favorite questions, about words of wisdom. Both of you have been doing this. You've been writing, Christine, journalism. I mean, Don, you clearly, Christine, you said you joined in 2005. So, Don, you've been doing this it's 2025. So, you've been doing this. What words of wisdom do you have to share? Don, I'll start with you. That,
Um,
you want people to take away.
yeah, I mean, this is really easy, but I could just go on forever. But I would say, speak up, ask questions, learn about different communication styles, and, be a leader in your firm. And I think, which is my most important one, is think like an owner.
Mm, that's good. That's good. Thank you, Don. Christine, what words of wisdom do you have to share?
My career has really morphed into so many different aspects of marketing, communications, public relations over the years. And now with all the technology that is involved with marketing and business development, I would say you need to have a spirit of continuous learning. And it's okay to seek out feedback, to seek out mentorship from people who've been in the business for a while. I am happy to impart, ideas, support, consulting, for people who are new to the industry, or even some of my peers who are just looking for a different perspective. So I would just say, see it as a creative playground, which is what it is, and enjoy it.
Oh, what a great way to look at things. Thank you for that, and thank you, Don. So I think it's just really important for us to stay fresh, but also stay open. And I love the idea of mentorship. I think sometimes we can get a little, and I'll speak for myself. I'm like, oh, I don't want to ask or bother them, but I find that people are way more open than we think. So give it a try. So thank you both so much for joining AEC Unplugged. If you're watching, these are your facilitators for proposal differentiation standing out in the sea of same. It is a 90-minute, super packed webinar on demand, on your own time. So again, thank you both for leading that webinar and joining AEC Unplugged today.
Thanks, Danielle.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. All right. So, look, another awesome AEC Unplugged in the books. I took quite a bit from this. One being that, we were talking about proposals, but there's so many applications of organization and using these tools to move us in our career, and all the different things. So I'm hoping that you all will tune in to this Standing Out in the Sea of Same proposal differentiation webinar. You've met our awesome facilitators, and I really want to take back that, let's stay open. Things can change, and be open to change and continuous improvement and continuous learning. And that's what SMPS is about, is to create that network so you can find mentors, you can talk to other people, while also doing things like this, the webinars, programming and Amplify AEC, which let's go ahead and run it back with all the things that we want to promote. I'm in marketing, so of course I'm going to bring it back. We have this industry report by the SMPS Foundation. I'm just going to go through these pretty quickly. Again, make sure to watch the on-demand webinar, Proposal Differentiation, with our guest today. And June 26th, we have a blueprint for impactful events with these three incredible speakers. Beyond charts and graphs, we're going to talk about data visualizations in July. And we also have Human Experience Pride Talk June 25th. and an AI quarterly insight report. So please download that. It's free and available to all members. It is available for non-members, but you have to pay for it. So just join and be a member. And then there's Amplify AEC. That is our biggest conference of the year, August 6th through 8th. And don't forget that the price is going up in 2 days, June 1st. Okay, so make sure to register. So many great things. And by the way, Jenny of Jenny's Ice Cream has just been announced as the closing keynote. So just know, talking about ice cream here, but it's going to be great. And then AEC.ai, our conference that will be happening later this year, October 9th and 10th in Denver, to talk about AI and have our hands-on workshop. And with that, I think that makes such a solid episode. Thank you so much for joining. We will be back and talking with more of our thought leaders. So with that being said, I hope if today didn't inspire you to do something different, I hope it inspired you to be something different. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you next time.